No funny intro today, unfortunately, just my unlit editing self popping on to say that if you are interested in storytelling, whether that is creating stories or consuming stories in a medium other than books, please leave a comment down below because I would like to chat. That could be stories in fan fiction, stories in role-playing games, stories that you just like daydream in your head because that's what you've always done since you were a kid, is have elaborate daydream like with long-standing plots. Anyone else do that, or is it just me? If any of that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure to let me know down below. Hi everyone, Rosie here. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Starting the vlog on a Tuesday because I just didn't really have any time to read yesterday, and this week I'm gonna try only talking about what I read. I've been doing this sort of like mixed life and reading vlogs for the last 3 weeks. I like them. I think they'll probably be the type of vlog I do long term on this channel, but I thought, you know what? Since I'm all about like trying different things and figuring out what works, why not try one where I just talk about books? So this morning I made some progress on The Pull of the Stars by Maya Angelou. I'm listening to this on audiobook for a buddy read with Gemma of Gem of Books. It is delightful. I don't know what it is that Donoghue has done with her writing, but it is so incredibly captivating. I am so engrossed in this story. I never want to put it down. If it weren't for the buddy read, I think I probably would have binge read it in like a single day. I almost never do for anything, so like that's saying a lot. It is about a group of women, a nurse, a doctor, and a young volunteer, and the patients that they are caring for on a maternity fever ward during the flu pandemic at the end of the First World War in Ireland. For a book that doesn't have like a, we need to go get the thing to do the thing type plot, it's more just an exploration of the experiences these people are having. Wow, gripping, amazing, absolutely loving that. I don't know why I'm surprised. Maya Angelou is a hugely popular and lauded author for a reason, so why am I surprised that her writing is amazing? But it is, and it works, and the narrator for the audiobook is perfect. I don't want to finish editing last week's vlog. I have some plans for it that hopefully made it a really good one, but I don't want to actually implement. So I've been procrastinating since I finished work by reading The Feather Thief. Yes, that is what this book is called. I picked this up totally on impulse in a used bookstore at the end of aforementioned vlog, which, you know, you can go watch up here if you would like to know more, and decided to immediately start reading it. It's not been a bad choice. It's so good. The Feather Thief is the story of a heist, or not really even a heist, a theft of antique bird skins that were stored in a museum as part of like a scientific collection in the UK, and a young man who was studying to be a musician broke in, stole them, and was selling them and using them to tie flies for salmon fishing, except no one actually uses these flies to salmon fish. It's just an art form in and of itself, which, cool. Except it's an art form that was popularized by wealthy British men in the Victorian era, so to do it like right, or to do it authentically, you need to use feathers from birds that are either possibly even extinct or severely endangered, and you definitely aren't allowed to just hunt them and trade their feathers. So it's this huge commodity, therefore this theft. It's fascinating. I found the section at the beginning with history good, but not great. Like, there was definitely stuff where I was like, I feel like you could have written that better. I feel like this could have been better done. But it's one chapter, so I understand why you can't go into the level of detail and research and, like, nuance that a full book on this topic would go into. Now that the author is actively involved in this event, the case, whatever you want to call it, I'm finding it really cool. I'm struggling to put this into words, but this book is very good for what it is, and I can't exactly put my finger on what exactly I mean by that. Oh, one actual last thought that I forgot to mention earlier. Because I'm reading this as a physical book, I don't know if I said that or not, which is unusual for me, I'm having such a great experience. I usually really prefer ebooks to physical books. I find them so much more comfortable in every respect. And while in certain circumstances, like when I'm going to bed, I still think I prefer ebooks because the way they work is more intuitive with how I like to fall asleep. But in most other aspects, this paperback is making me question why I haven't been reading physical books. Because it's actually delightful and kind of something I didn't realize I missed until this book. Because I haven't liked some recent physical books, but maybe floppy paperbacks are what I like. That's good information for me to know about my preferences when I'm thinking about future book buying. Okay, The Feather Thief was exactly the book I needed to read right now. I think I said that in my earlier update, but I just finished the book. I was maybe halfway through it when I picked it up today, so that feels just so satisfying to find a book that was so gripping to me that I didn't want to stop reading it. I think that's a quality in books I undervalue, and if I paid more attention to it, I'd probably be more happy with my reading overall. I have complex thoughts about this book, but I think I need to sit down and write them out and actually think about them before I try and communicate. So I'm going to save that for my wrap-up, which will be coming out on Sunday. Last night I started reading Hyperbole and a Half, which I also picked up in my most recent reading vlog. I have so many thoughts and I do not know how to organize them. I guess I'll start by saying that Hyperbole and a Half, if you haven't heard of it, is like a memoir in webcomic format, basically. You've probably seen the artist Allie Brosh's works around on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram and just like all over the web. This book, Hyperbole and a Half, actually came out in 2013, and I think in some ways it really shows, not just in the style, in the way it approaches sharing content. Obviously, this is a memoir, and I guess you can't write a memoir without sharing the internal emotional conflict. But I think it's been a really thought-provoking reading experience for me so far, because I've been thinking a lot lately about what I share and what I choose not to share. And that probably sounds weird coming from someone talking to people on the internet from her bed. But I mean more what I don't share in the sense of my ideas and the fact that I like to share my ideas. I like to express my thoughts to you guys. I like to express my creative vision. That sounds too big, but like I enjoy sharing some stuff. But then also, and this sounds so dumb, coming back to enjoying not sharing some stuff. I recently started journaling sometimes because I'll have an idea that I think is really interesting and I want to explore the idea in my head, but I realize I don't want to share the idea. I don't want to write a tweet about this idea. I don't want to make an Instagram story post about this idea. I just want to think about it. And getting back in touch with that has been really wonderful, which is crazy to me because I'm not even that much of a sharing person on social media, but I guess I've been thinking about it more than I thought I had lately. So anyway, that's only sort of related to this book, but the type of story that Brosh is sharing in this memoir really feel like that type of story that feel intensely private. And maybe that's me projecting on my own thoughts and biases. It's interesting. I don't really know what my thoughts are yet, but I'm having thoughts. I didn't expect to finish Hyperbole and a Half this afternoon, but the power's out. It's been out for an hour and a half. I had to eat peanut butter and crackers for lunch because I didn't want to open the fridge, and there was very little actual food in the cupboards that I could eat without cooking at all. And since the power's out, the Wi-Fi's down, so I can't work because I can't connect to my work computer without the Wi-Fi. So I've been reading, and it's been good. As I said, I just finished Hyperbole and a Half, and I don't know what I think about this or how I feel about this. It was cute. I'm glad I picked it up. I'm glad I read it. It was fun. I especially liked the chapters, sections, stories, whatever you want to call them, about her dogs. As someone who has had kind of neurotic shelter dogs with mental health issues. Relatable. A lot of this book, I think, would have been more impactful for me if I had read it earlier in my life. Not that I'm particularly old or anything. In the last year especially, I've done, I don't want to say a lot of work, but I've been trying to put some work in. I've been working with a therapist and like trying to figure out some of my own mental health issues and how to not exactly solve them, but like manage them and not let them take over my life. I think in light of that, a lot of what Brosh is going through in this book is relatable in the sense that I'm like, okay, even if I never had mental health issues as severe as some of what you're describing, yeah, I felt that's a very familiar. You're describing this very accurately, but I've spent a lot of time thinking and reflecting and talking to my therapist and figuring out this stuff, so seeing it in a book isn't quite so, oh my goodness, wow, life-changing to have had that recognized, as I think it might have been for me in 2013. I'm glad to have read it. It was cute. It is yellow, so it is a perfect addition to my living room stack of various yellow graphic books, but not like life-changing or anything. Please excuse the terrible lighting, but I just finished 84 Charing Cross Road by Helene Hanff, and I needed to talk about it immediately. 84 Charing Cross Road is a collection of letters that Helene Hanff, an American writer, exchanged with one particular employee and then several related people at a London bookstore in like I think it starts in the 40s. She's finding like she wants these specific editions, she wants to get these books, but she can't get them in America. No one's publishing them in the US. So she writes to this bookstore and says, hey, I'm looking to buy these books. If you can get them, please send them to me and I'll send you money. And from there, it transforms into this friendship via letters that spans, I think, like 30 years? It spans a really long time. They send letters back and forth, but she never manages to go over and actually visit the bookstore and meet these people. The way this book tells the story is by transcribing, writing up, whatever you want to call it, a selection of the letters. As far as I can tell from reading it, there's definitely letters that get left out. There's periods that we jump. There's sometimes where you'll see like the reply to a letter where you didn't see the letter in itself. And you would think that would make it jarring, but actually I think it was masterfully edited. It feels fluid. It's nonfiction that reads like a novel. And is it narrative nonfiction? Is it something that transcends narrative nonfiction? I don't know, but it's a type of writing, a style of writing that I am finding so fascinating lately. I enjoyed this so much. I watched the movie back in September of 2021. Absolutely loved that, and reading the book was just as delightful. So glad to have picked that up. Can definitely see reading it again and picking it up from the table and sort of skimming through it because it's just short and lovely and somehow feels like such a perfect capturing of its time. Captures its time so well that you feel like it has to be fake, but in a good way. That's what I mean about the like narrative nonfiction, but even more so. I don't have words for it. I loved this book. I wasn't sure if I was going to start reading Mom and Me and Mom by Maya Angelou in March or not. It was on my TBR, but I wasn't really feeling it last week, and I was sort of thinking, okay, maybe I just won't read it. That's fine. And last night I decided I'm in the mood now, so I picked it up, and I'm just so glad I did. It's really wonderful. This is Angelou's 7th and final autobiography as far as I understand, and it's really more a biography of her mother and also her relationship with her mother and how that evolved throughout her life. There's definitely some of the stories that she's told in other ones of her autobiographies, but I'm actually enjoying them coming up again. There's sort of a slightly different perspective. I'm about halfway through, and so far I really like how this one is paced. It's very short, and instead of focusing on a particular time in Angelou's life like the other 6 do, it focuses on a particular theme and is just about her relationship with her mother all the way through. It works. I'm loving it. I think it's really, really good, and I'm excited to read the second half, hopefully today or tomorrow. I know I said I'm only going to talk about books in this vlog, and I'm not going to talk about any lifestyle stuff. Well, I'm sorry to say I kind of lied. I wasn't going to. I didn't film any footage of me making these pistachio Nanaimo bars, but when I posted them on Twitter, Brian from Bookish asked if there was going to be a video with a recipe in it soon, and I mean, how can I let down my brand like that? So here's a recipe for pistachio Nanaimo bars. So unfortunately the photo of the recipe is really, really terrible. This is a photo that my mom texted me from a magazine cookbook that she got probably circa 2005. I will try and find the recipe online and link it in the description, but I'm sorry if I don't succeed. Feel free to message me somewhere and I will send you like the actual photo. It's originally for cappuccino Nanaimo bars, but I wanted pistachio, so I left out all the coffee powder. I used pistachio in the base, and I made like a pistachio butter in my food processor and then folded that, stirred that through the filling layer, which is why it's that lovely pale green. I wish I could share these with all of you. I am just on such a reading roll right now. This evening I picked up Olympus by Rachel Smythe/Smythe, we're not totally sure, and it was so delightful that I read the entire thing in one sitting. I thought I would sit down and maybe read a quarter, maybe half because it's a graphic novel, but I just read it all. This is a Hades Persephone retelling in a graphic format. Let me try and open it up and show you. It's got very, very cute art. I really like that the art style sort of changes every now and then. This is a bind-up physical published version of a webcomic, and since this is the first volume, it's the very beginning, and I think there's a bit of like the artist figuring out her style, which was so cool. In general, really sweet, really enjoyed the characters. I haven't read a ton of Greek myth retellings, and I've never read a Hades Persephone retelling, but I'm familiar enough with the story, so it's still like interesting and cool. It has a content warning at the beginning. I will say, if you're thinking about picking this up, let me know down below if you want more information or have a look at it. I was reading along thinking like, okay, yeah, some of this stuff is like kind of uncomfortable, but it hasn't been crazy yet, and then there's a scene towards the end of this book that was, I found, quite disturbing. Not I regret reading the book or it was horrible, just like it had a very visceral response type feeling, and beware of that. But it was so good, it was so cute. I've never read a romance in graphic novel, which is I think what we would call this, and now I'm questioning why, because this is really cool. This is really fun. Yeah, I might have to go read online because I don't know if I want to wait until the next volume comes out, but like physically it's just such a nice book, so I kind of want to wait for the next volume and just get that physically. Maybe I'll do both. We will see. I don't think the friend who recommended this will be watching my vlogs, but if you are, Vicky, thank you for recommending it. I absolutely loved it. You were right. It is fantastic. If I sound sniffly right now, I swear it is because of some sort of seasonal allergy, not because I'm crying from Mom and Me and Mom. But like, this is a book that could make a person cry. It is a fascinating exploration of how Maya Angelou's relationship with her mother evolved throughout her lifetime and the incredible impact that her mother had on her and her life and her ability to be the person that she was. I think I said most of what I want to say yesterday when I talked about it, but it was an absolutely incredible book. If you haven't picked it up, I highly recommend. I think it's one of my favorite of her autobiographies. I think the way it is structured and written is just so impactful. I know I say that about every Angelou book, but this one is especially impactful. No matter what your relationship to being a child or a parent, I recommend reading this book. Another weekly vlog that I just forgot to finish. So, editing Rosie popping on real quick just to say, tell me about what book you read in the last little while that's been super impactful on you. And of course, as always, if you like this video, please give it a like down below. If you'd like to see more of my videos, please hit subscribe, and thank you for watching.